the keys to silence. The laughter started before Maya even finished her sentence. A house? You? Her sister Jessica's voice cut through the Sunday dinner table like a blade. Maya, sweetie, you work in data entry. Do you even know what a down payment is? Maya's fork hovered over her plate. The roasted chicken her mother had spent hours preparing suddenly looked unappetizing. Around the table, her family members exchanged glances, those knowing looks that said, "Here we go again." "Actually, I've been saving for 3 years," Maya said quietly. "I wanted to tell you all because—" 3 years? Her brother Marcus leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "Maya, I've been in finance for a decade. Let me break this down for you. With your salary, even if you saved every penny, you'd barely afford a studio apartment in the worst part of town. And that's being generous." Their mother sighed, that particular sigh Maya had heard her entire life. The one that said, "My disappointment is immeasurable." "Maya, honey, we're just trying to be realistic," her mother said, reaching across to pat her hand. The gesture felt condescending. "It's wonderful that you're thinking about your future, but maybe you should focus on more achievable goals first, like getting that certification you mentioned last year. What happened to that?" "I got it 8 months ago." No one heard her. Her brother Marcus had already launched into a story about Marcus's latest promotion, and Jessica was showing everyone photos of her new BMW on her phone. The conversation moved on like a river flowing around a stone. Maya sat there, her announcement deflated, her hope withering in the dining room that suddenly felt too small and too suffocating. This was her family, the people who were supposed to believe in her, and they couldn't even pretend to take her seriously for 5 minutes. She excused herself early, claiming a headache. No one tried to stop her. The Monday morning sun filtered through the blinds of Maya's apartment, a small one-bedroom she'd rented for the past 7 years. She'd chosen it because it was cheap, not because it was home. The walls were thin enough that she could hear her neighbor's television. The bathroom faucet dripped no matter how many times maintenance fixed it. But it had been her launching pad. Maya made her coffee in silence, a ritual that had become sacred over the years. This quiet hour before work, before the world demanded pieces of her, was hers alone. She opened her laptop and checked her accounts. The numbers glowed on the screen like a secret language only she understood. $187,000 in her investment account, $98,000 in her high-yield savings, $43,000 in bonds. Total, $328,000. $328,000 that nobody knew about. Money she'd accumulated through a combination of ruthless budgeting, strategic career moves her family never asked about, and a side business they didn't know existed. Because Maya didn't just work in data entry. She'd started there, yes, fresh out of college with a degree nobody in her family thought was practical. But she'd taught herself SQL, Python, and data visualization. She'd taken every online course she could find, studied late into the night, turned herself into someone companies actually wanted. 2 years ago, she'd started freelancing on the side, building databases, creating automated reporting systems, consulting for startups that needed someone who could turn chaos into clarity. She worked under a business name, kept her LinkedIn sparse, and never mentioned it at family dinners. Why would she? So they could tell her it wasn't a real business? So Marcus could mansplain entrepreneurship to her? So Jessica could make a joke about playing with computers? No, this was hers, her secret garden of competence that had bloomed in the darkness of being underestimated. Maya closed her laptop and got ready for work. Today, she had a call with a real estate agent. The office was the usual chaos of ringing phones and clicking keyboards. Maya had long ago mastered the art of looking busy while actually working on her freelance projects. Her official job was easy, too easy. She could do it in half the time they paid her for, which left plenty of room for building her real career. Maya? Her supervisor, Linda, appeared at her cubicle. "Can you pull the Q3 reports for me? I need them by noon." "Already done," Maya said, gesturing to her screen. "Sent them to your email an hour ago." Linda blinked. "Oh, well, great. You're always so efficient." The word hung in the air like a consolation prize. efficient, reliable, steady. These were the words people used when they didn't want to say unremarkable. Maya smiled. Just doing my job. As Linda walked away, Maya's phone buzzed. A text from the real estate agent, Simone Reeves. Found 3 properties that match your criteria, all in excellent locations. Can you view them this Saturday? Maya's heart quickened. Yes, send me the addresses. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. One of them is special. I think you're going to love it. Trust me on this. The week crawled by with excruciating slowness. Maya moved through her days on autopilot, her mind constantly drifting to Saturday, to possibilities, to the moment when her secret would finally take physical form. Maya closed her laptop and got ready for work. Today, she had a call with a real estate agent. The office was the usual chaos of ringing phones and clicking keyboards. Maya had long ago mastered the art of looking busy while actually working on her freelance projects. Her official job was easy, too easy. She could do it in half the time they paid her for, which left plenty of room for building her real career. Maya? Her supervisor, Linda, appeared at her cubicle. Can you pull the Q3 reports for me? I need them by noon. Already done, Maya said, gesturing to her screen. Sent them to your email an hour ago. Linda blinked. Oh, well, great. You're always so efficient. The word hung in the air like a consolation prize. Efficient, reliable, steady. These were the words people used when they didn't want to say unremarkable. Maya smiled. Just doing my job. As Linda walked away, Maya's phone buzzed. A text from the real estate agent, Simone Reeves. Found 3 properties that match your criteria, all in excellent locations. Can you view them this Saturday? Maya's heart quickened. Yes, send me the addresses. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. One of them is special. I think you're going to love it. Trust me on this. The week crawled by with excruciating slowness. Maya moved through her days on autopilot, her mind constantly drifting to Saturday, to possibilities, to the moment when her secret would finally take physical form. On Wednesday, Jessica called. So, Mom's birthday is coming up, Jessica said without preamble. We're thinking of doing something nice this year. Maybe a spa day, but it's expensive, so we'll need everyone to chip in. Can you do $200? Maya's jaw tightened. When is this? 3 weeks. Why, is that a problem? I know your budget is tight, but it's for Mom. My budget is tight? The assumption that Maya lived paycheck to paycheck, that she was always one emergency away from disaster, was so deeply embedded in her family's perception that they stated it as fact. I can do $200, Maya said. Great. See, this is why I love you. You're so sensible about money. Not like Marcus. He wants to go bigger, but honestly, you work with what you have, right? After they hung up, Maya stared at her phone. She could buy the spa. She could buy the whole damn salon if she wanted to, but they'd never believe it. They'd assume she'd won the lottery or made some reckless financial decision. The thought crystallized something in her mind. She didn't need them to believe in her potential anymore. She needed them to see her reality. Saturday arrived wrapped in October sunshine. Maya dressed carefully. Not too nice, not too casual. She didn't want Simone to think she was out of her depth, but she also didn't want to seem desperate. They met at a coffee shop first. Simone was a Black woman in her 50s with silver-streaked locks and an air of unshakable competence. She'd come highly recommended from one of Maya's freelance clients, someone who understood the value of discretion. Before we start, Simone said, stirring honey into her tea, I want to make sure we're on the same page. You're pre-approved for $400,000, correct? Correct. And you're comfortable with the down payment? 20% is $80,000? I have it. Simone studied her for a moment, and Maya felt the familiar urge to explain herself, to justify her existence. But she didn't. She just met Simone's gaze and waited. Finally, Simone smiled. Good. I like working with people who know what they want. Let's go see some homes. The first property was a townhouse in a decent neighborhood.
3 bedrooms, updated kitchen, small backyard. Nice. Safe. Exactly what someone like Maya was expected to want. It's lovely, Maya said, walking through rooms that felt like someone else's life. The second was a condo in a newer building. Modern, sleek, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a doorman. Better. Closer to who she actually was. This one's great, but you said there were 3?
Simone's eyes gleamed. The third one isn't officially on the market yet. The owner is a friend of mine. He's relocating for work and wants to do a quiet sale to avoid the circus. Well, you'll see. They drove to the city's most prestigious neighborhood, where old money met new ambition. Maya had been here before, walking past buildings she'd never imagined entering. The kind of place where doormen wore uniforms and dogs had their own groomers. Simone pulled into the parking garage of a glass and steel tower that seemed to pierce the sky. "This is a residential building?" Maya asked. "The top 15 floors are. Everything below is commercial. Keep an open mind." They took an elevator that required a keycard to access the residential floors. When the doors opened on the 34th floor, Maya's breath caught. The hallway was intimate, only 4 doors, which meant only 4 units per floor. The walls were a warm cream, the floor is a dark hardwood that gleamed under subtle lighting. It smelled like money and possibility. Simone stopped at a door labeled 34C and pulled out a key. "Now, I need to tell you something," she said, her hand on the doorknob. "This unit is the penthouse level. It's technically listed at $550,000, but my friend wants to move quickly. He's willing to negotiate down to your range if you can close within 30 days. Maya's heart hammered. A penthouse? Just look. The door swung open and Maya stepped into another world. The apartment was flooded with light. Massive windows wrapped around the living space, offering a panoramic view of the city that stretched to the horizon. The ceilings were at least 12 feet high. The kitchen was all white marble and stainless steel, with an island large enough to host a dinner party. 2 bedrooms, no 3, each with its own bathroom, a study with built-in shelving, hardwood floors throughout. And the master bedroom. The master bedroom had a balcony overlooking the city, a walk-in closet the size of her current bedroom, and a bathroom with a soaking tub positioned in front of a window. Maya walked through the space in silence, her fingers trailing along granite countertops, her reflection multiplying in gleaming appliances. This wasn't just a home. This was a statement. This was proof. "What do you think?" Simone asked gently. Maya turned to face her, and she could feel tears threatening at the corners of her eyes. I think this is it." "You sure?" "It's a big decision." "I'm sure." Simone smiled, the kind of smile that suggested she'd known from the beginning. "Then let's make it happen." The negotiations took 2 weeks. Maya's offer of $485,000 was accepted. The inspection came back clean. The bank approved her loan without hesitation. Her credit score was pristine, her debt-to-income ratio was excellent, and her down payment was substantial. Every step of the process felt surreal. Maya would sit in meetings with lawyers and lenders, listening to them discuss her financial stability, her excellent decision-making, her bright future. These strangers saw her clearly. They saw the numbers, the discipline, the calculated risk. They saw her. Her family still saw the girl who couldn't afford a studio apartment. The closing date was set for November 3rd. Maya marked it on her calendar with a small star. Then she made a decision. She called her mother. "Hi, honey. How are you? We haven't heard from you in a while." "I'm good. Really good, actually. Mom, remember a few weeks ago when I mentioned buying a house?" A pause. "Oh, honey, you're not still thinking about that, are you? We talked about this. It's not realistic right now." I take a deep breath. "Actually, I'd like to invite everyone over to see the place I'm buying. Next Sunday, the whole family." "Maya, please, Mom, just humor me. I promise it'll be worth your time." Another pause, longer this time. I could practically hear my mother's internal debate, how to handle her delusional daughter with kindness. "All right," her mother finally said, "we'll come. But, sweetheart, I don't want you to be disappointed if things don't work out. These things are complicated." "I know, Mom. Trust me, I know." She made the same call to Marcus and Jessica. Marcus was condescending. Sure, I'll come check out this place, but Maya, I'm telling you this as someone who knows the market. You need to be realistic about what you can actually afford. Jessica was worse. Is this one of those tiny house things or like a mobile home? Because honestly, that might be perfect for you. Very trendy right now. Maya didn't correct them. She just gave them the address and the time, 2 p.m., Sunday, November 5th. She didn't tell them she'd already closed on the property. She didn't tell them she'd spent the past 3 days moving in her things, that she'd already slept in that incredible master bedroom, that she'd made coffee while watching the sunrise over the city from her own balcony. She wanted them to see it the way she needed them to see it, as an impossibility made real. Sunday arrived cold and bright. Maya stood in her penthouse, checking her reflection in the bathroom mirror for the 10th time. She dressed simply, jeans and a black sweater, because this wasn't about her clothes. It was about the space, about what she had achieved. At 2:45 p.m., her phone rang. Simone, are you ready? The agent asked. As I'll ever be. Remember what we discussed. Let them see it first. Let this space speak for itself. Then we'll do the reveal. Maya had asked Simone to be there, to make it official, to hand over the keys in front of everyone. Simone had understood immediately and agreed without hesitation. At 1:58 p.m., the lobby security called up. Miss Santos, your guests are here. Send them up, please. Maya's hands trembled as she smoothed down her sweater. She opened her apartment door and waited.
The elevator dinged. Voices echoed in the hallway. Her family's voices. Loud and familiar and already judging. This building is ridiculous, Marcus was saying. Do you know what the HOA fees must be? She probably didn't even think about that. Maybe it's a showing, Jessica suggested. Maybe she wanted us to see what she's dreaming about? That's actually kind of sweet. Her mother, I just hope she hasn't signed anything she can't get out of. They rounded the corner and saw Maya standing in the doorway, saw the number on the door, saw the hallway that screamed luxury. The conversation died. Hi, Maya said. Come in. They filed past her in silence, and she watched their faces as they entered, watched Marcus's eyes widen, watched Jessica's jaw drop, watched her mother's hand fly to her chest. Her father, who rarely showed emotion, simply stopped walking and stared. Maya, her mother whispered, what is this place? This is the property I wanted you to see, Maya said calmly. Marcus had already moved to the windows, his finance brain calculating square footage and market value. This is at least 2,000 square feet, floor-to-ceiling windows, penthouse level. Jesus Christ, Maya, how much is this place? Marcus, her father said quietly. Let her explain. But Jessica was already exploring, opening doors, her initial shock giving way to something harder to read. This can't be real. This is some kind of joke, right? You're house-sitting for someone? Maya walked to the kitchen island where Simone was waiting, perfectly professional in a tailored suit. The agent had let herself in through the back entrance, as planned. Everyone, this is Simone Reeves, my real estate agent, Maya said. Simone, it's wonderful to meet you all. You must be very proud of Maya. The statement hung in the air like an accusation. I don't understand, her mother said. She looked genuinely distressed, like the world had tilted on its axis. Maya, honey, how can you possibly afford this? Maya had rehearsed this moment in her head 100 times. She'd imagined being petty, being angry, throwing all their doubts back into their faces. But now, standing here in her home with her family looking lost and confused, she felt something different. Clarity. For the past 7 years, I've been building a career you didn't know about. I started in data entry, yes, but I taught myself programming, database management, data analytics. I became an expert in my field. 3 years ago, I started a consulting business on the side. I worked nights and weekends. I said no to vacations and new clothes and fancy dinners. I saved and invested everything I could. She pulled out a folder from the island drawer, one she'd prepared specifically for this moment. Bank statements, investment reports, business revenue summaries. She laid them out like evidence at a trial. I have $300,000 in liquid assets. I put down $97,000 on this property. My mortgage payments are well within my budget. I closed on this apartment 3 days ago. Marcus picked up one of the statements, his eyes scanning the numbers. His face went pale. Maya, this is real. Yes. You made $180,000 last year? His voice cracked on the number. Between my salary and my business, yes. Jessica had tears in her eyes, though Maya couldn't tell what kind. Why didn't you tell us? The question was so absurd that Maya almost laughed. Tell you what? That I was trying? You all made it very clear what you thought of my capabilities. Why would I subject my dreams to your doubt? That's not fair, her mother said, but her voice was weak. We were just trying to protect you. From what? Maya's voice rose despite her intention to stay calm. From succeeding? From proving you wrong? You weren't protecting me, Mom. You were limiting me. Her father had been quiet throughout all of this, studying the papers Marcus had abandoned. Now he looked up, and there was something in his eyes Maya had never seen before. Respect. You did this alone, he said. It wasn't a question. Yes, because you didn't think we'd believe in you. Because I knew you wouldn't. The words landed like stones in still water, ripples spreading through the room. Her mother crumbled. Marcus looked at his shoes. Jessica turned away, her shoulders shaking. Simone cleared her throat gently. Perhaps this would be a good time for the official part. She reached into her briefcase and pulled out a small box. Maya, congratulations on your new home. She opened the box to reveal 2 sets of keys. One for the apartment, one for the parking garage. These are yours. You earned them. Simone placed the keys in Maya's palm, and the small weight of them felt like vindication, like proof, like every late night, every sacrifice, every moment she'd been underestimated. Her family watched in silence. There was no applause, no celebration, just the heavy quiet of people confronting their own assumptions. After a long moment, her father spoke. Can I see the rest of it? Maya nodded, and he walked through the apartment methodically, examining everything with the careful attention he'd never paid to her actual achievements. The others followed, a procession of discomfort and dawning realization. When they returned to the living room, Marcus tried to smile. Maya, this is incredible. Really. I'm sorry I didn't take you seriously. I was wrong. Thank you. Maya meant it, even though the apology felt thin. Jessica hugged her suddenly, fiercely. I'm proud of you, she whispered. I'm so sorry I laughed. Her mother couldn't speak. She just held Maya's face in her hands, tears streaming down her cheeks, shaking her head as if trying to reconcile 2 different versions of her daughter. Simone excused herself quietly, leaving them to their family moment. She squeezed Maya's shoulder on the way out. You did good, kid.
For about 20 minutes, it was almost nice. They asked questions about the apartment, about her business, about how she'd managed to keep it all secret. Maya answered carefully, still holding pieces of herself back. Trust, she'd learned, had to be rebuilt slowly. Then Jessica's phone rang. She glanced at it, smiled apologetically, and stepped onto the balcony to take the call. When she came back, her expression had changed. There was something calculated in her eyes, something Maya recognized from childhood. Jessica wanting something. So, her sister said, settling onto the couch like she belonged there. I was actually just talking to Kyle. You know Kyle, my boyfriend. Anyway, he's starting a business. Tech stuff, actually. He could really use someone with your skills as a consultant. And I was thinking, since you're family, you could maybe give him a good rate, or even just some free advice to get him started. The room went silent. Maya felt it then, the old pattern trying to reassert itself. The assumption that now that she'd proven herself, she owed them, that her success was somehow their resource. No, Maya said quietly. What? No. I charge market rate for my consulting, even for referrals. If Kyle wants to hire me, he can go through my website and book like anyone else. But he's practically family. He's your boyfriend of 3 months. He's not family. And even if he were, my business has value. My time has value. I didn't build this by giving my expertise away for free. Wow, success really changed you, didn't it? You used to be nice. I used to be convenient. There's a difference. Marcus tried to mediate.
Come on, Maya. Jessica's just excited about your success. She wants to include you in things. Does she? Or does she want to use me? That's harsh, their mother said. We're your family. We support each other. Maya laughed, and it came out bitter. You support each other. I've been supporting myself. Where was this family support when I was working 3 jobs to pay off my student loans? Where was it when I was studying for certifications on my own? You didn't believe in me when I had nothing. You don't get to benefit from me now that I have something. So what? You're just cutting us off? Jessica's voice rose. You get a fancy apartment and suddenly you're too good for your family? I'm not cutting anyone off. I'm setting boundaries. If you want my professional services, you pay for them. If you want my time, you respect it. If you want to be in my life, you treat me like someone who deserves to be here. Her father stood up abruptly. I think we should go. Give everyone some space to cool down. Dad, Marcus started. No, she's right. He looked at Maya and there was sadness in his eyes, but also understanding. You're right, Maya. We didn't believe in you. We didn't ask the right questions. We didn't see you clearly. And now you've made a life where we don't need us to. He moved toward the door and the others followed reluctantly. Jessica was still angry, her jaw set in a line Maya knew meant this wasn't over. Marcus looked thoughtful, already processing. Their mother kept glancing back, like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. At the door, her father paused. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you, and I'm sorry it took this for me to say it. Then they were gone, and Maya was alone in her beautiful apartment with her hard-won keys and her validated choices. She should have felt triumphant. Instead, she felt exhausted. The days that followed were strange. Jessica didn't call, which was a relief and a worry. Marcus sent a long email apologizing and asking if they could have coffee sometime to really talk. Her mother texted every day, little messages that were trying too hard. Thinking of you, so proud, love you. Maya responded to each message briefly, kindly, but without giving too much. She was learning to protect her peace. The following Sunday, she got a call from her father. Can I come by? Alone. Just for a few minutes. Okay, she said. He arrived carrying a small box. Maya led him to the living room and they sat on the couch she'd just bought, a deep blue velvet thing that made her feel like she was sitting on a cloud. Your mother wanted to come, but I asked her to let me talk to you first. About. He opened the box. Inside were dozens of photographs. Maya as a child, smiling gap-toothed at the camera. Maya as a teenager, awkward and hopeful. Maya at her college graduation, looking terrified of the future. I've been looking through these, trying to figure out where we lost sight of who you really were. And I think I found it. He pulled out one photo. Maya was maybe 10 years old, sitting at a computer that was ancient even then. She was concentrating so hard, her tongue peeking out the corner of her mouth. You taught yourself to code at 10. You built a website for your school project, remember? It was about dolphins. You spent weeks on it. And when you showed us, do you know what I said? Maya shook her head. She didn't remember. I said, that's nice, honey, but you should focus on your math homework instead of playing on the computer. I thought I was being a good parent, keeping you focused on what mattered. But I didn't see that you were already showing us who you were going to become. He set the photo down carefully. We did that over and over. You'd show us glimpses of your potential, and we'd redirect you toward what we thought was safe, practical, achievable. We loved you so much that we couldn't imagine you being extraordinary. We thought we were protecting you from disappointment, but we were teaching you that we didn't believe in you.
Maya felt tears building behind her eyes. Dad, let me finish. What you did, building this life, proving yourself without us, that took courage. But it also took loneliness. And I'm so sorry that we made you feel like you had to do it alone. You shouldn't have had to keep it a secret. You should have been able to call us after every win and know we'd celebrate with you. He reached over and took her hand. His palm was rough, familiar. I can't undo the past, but I can do better going forward, if you'll let me. I don't need you to fix anything, Maya said, and she meant it. I fixed it myself, but I would like to have a family who sees me, the real me, then that's what we'll do. And Maya, about Jessica, what about her? She's angry because she's jealous. She's also angry because you're holding up a mirror and she doesn't like what she sees. Give her time. She'll come around. Or she won't. But either way, don't let her make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. After he left, Maya sat with the photographs spread around her. She picked up the one of herself at the computer. That little girl who had no idea how hard the road ahead would be. We did it, she whispered to that younger version of herself. We did it. 3 months passed. Maya settled into her new home, her new life. She hired an assistant for her business, which was growing faster than she could manage alone. She started dating someone she met at a networking event, a woman named Keisha, who worked in urban planning and thought Maya's success story was sexy, not threatening. Marcus came by twice for coffee. They talked carefully at first, but eventually found their way to something resembling a real sibling relationship. He admitted that her success had forced him to examine his own life, his own assumptions about success and worth. He was seeing a therapist now, working through things. Her mother visited often, always bringing food, always trying too hard. But slowly, the trying became less desperate and more genuine. She started asking real questions about Maya's work, listening to the answers, remembering details. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. Jessica didn't call till one Tuesday evening in February, when Maya's doorbell rang unexpectedly. Her sister stood in the hallway, and she looked different, smaller somehow, less polished. She'd been crying. Can I come in? Jessica asked. Maya stepped aside. They sat at the kitchen island, the marble cold and perfect between them. Jessica twisted her hands together, not meeting Maya's eyes. Kyle and I broke up, she finally said. I'm sorry. Are you? Because you were right about him. He was using me. He wanted me to convince you to work for his startup for equity instead of payment. When I couldn't deliver, he lost interest fast. She laughed bitterly. Turns out, I was only valuable for what I could give him. Jessica. No. Let me say this. I've been thinking about it for months. What you said about being convenient versus being nice, about people only wanting you for what they can get from you. That's been my whole life, Maya. I'm the pretty one, the social one, the one who knows how to work a room. But none of it means anything. It's all just performance. She finally looked up, and her eyes were raw with honesty. You built something real, something that can't be taken away. And instead of being happy for you, I was angry, because it made me look at my own life and realize I haven't built anything. I've just been decorative. Maya felt something shift in her chest. This was the sister she'd always wanted, the one who could be vulnerable, real. You're not just decorative, Maya said quietly. But maybe you've been playing the role people expected, just like I was playing the role of the struggling little sister. How did you stop? Maya asked. How did you just decide to be different? I didn't decide to be different. I decided to be myself. I stopped asking for permission. I stopped waiting for someone to believe in me before I believed in myself. I don't know how to do that. Yes, you do. You just did it. You came here, vulnerable and honest, without your armor. That's the start. Jessica wiped her eyes. I'm sorry for laughing at your dream, for trying to use you, for being a shitty sister. I forgive you, Maya said, and she meant it. But Jessica, the boundaries stay. I love you, but I love myself more, and I won't let anyone treat me as less than I am, not even family. I understand. I respect that. Actually, I need to learn to do that. They talked for hours that night. Really talked, maybe for the first time in their adult lives. Jessica admitted things Maya had never known, how exhausting it was to always be performing, how lonely it felt to be valued for your appearance and charm, but not your substance. Maya shared the harder parts of her journey, the moments of doubt, the nights she'd cried alone in her apartment, wondering if she was crazy to think she could build something from nothing. When Jessica finally left, she hugged Maya at the door.
I'm proud of you, she said, and I'm going to figure out what I'm proud of in myself. After the door closed, Maya walked to her bedroom window. The city spread out below her, millions of lights in the darkness, each one representing someone's life, someone's struggle, someone's triumph. She thought about her family, about the slow work of rebuilding trust, about how satisfying it had been to prove them wrong, but how much better it felt to be rebuilding something real with them. But mostly, she thought about that moment when Simone had handed her the keys, the moment when years of secret work, sacrifice, and belief in herself had crystallized into something tangible, something no one could take away, or diminish, or explain away. She picked up her phone and scrolled through her photos until she found the one she'd taken on moving day, her hand holding two small keys, the city visible through the window behind them. She studied it, remembering exactly how she'd felt in that moment. Then she deleted it. She didn't need proof anymore. The life she'd built was proof enough. The family she was rebuilding was proof enough. The woman she'd become, not despite being underestimated, but because of it, was proof enough. Maya Santos had spent years being invisible, being doubted, being small in other people's eyes, and then she'd done something radical. She'd stopped waiting for permission to be extraordinary. She'd stopped seeking validation from people who couldn't see her clearly. She'd simply become who she was meant to be and built the life she deserved. And now she stood in her penthouse apartment with her floor-to-ceiling windows and her hard-won peace, and she knew with absolute certainty, the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's living so fully, so completely, so authentically that their doubt becomes irrelevant. The keys had been important. They'd been a symbol, a moment, a turning point. But the real power had been hers all along. The power to decide who she was. The power to walk away from people who diminished her. The power to set boundaries and demand respect and build something lasting.
That power couldn't be handed over by a real estate agent or validated by her family's shock. It had been there, inside her, the whole time, waiting for her to claim it. And now she had. A year later, Maya stood in the same living room, but it looked different now, warmer, more lived in. Keisha's plants filled the windows, bringing life to the sleek spaces. Photos hung on the walls, real ones, not the professional kind, but snapshots of genuine moments. Her parents at Thanksgiving, Marcus and his kids playing on the floor, Jessica at her first art show, nervous and glowing, and one photo, small and unassuming, tucked on a bookshelf, Maya at 10 years old, sitting at that ancient computer, building her first website about dolphins. Night, she was hosting a dinner party. Her parents would be there, and Marcus with his wife. Jessica was bringing someone new, not a boyfriend, but a business partner for the photography studio she was opening. Even Simone was coming, having become more friend than agent over the past year. But first, there was a knock at the door. Maya opened it to find a young woman she didn't recognize. Early 20s, nervous hands clutching a portfolio bag, dressed in clothes that were trying to look professional but screaming, broke college student. "Hi," the woman said quickly. "I'm so sorry to just show up. I'm Emma. I've found your consulting business online and I've been following your work for months. I'm a computer science student and I want to learn data analytics, but I can't afford your rates. I know this is completely inappropriate, but I was in the building visiting a friend and I saw your name on the directory and I had to try. Could I maybe buy you coffee sometime? Just pick your brain for half an hour? I'll pay for the coffee, obviously." She said it all in one breath, her cheeks flushing red with embarrassment and hope. Maya looked at this young woman and saw herself, saw the hunger, the determination, the belief that if she could just get someone to take her seriously, she could build something real. "What's your favorite subject in computer science?" Maya asked. Emma blinked, caught off guard by the question. "Database architecture. Everyone thinks it's boring, but I love it. There's something beautiful about creating systems that make sense, you know? Like bringing order to chaos." Maya smiled. She knew exactly. "Come in," she said, stepping aside. "I have about an hour before my guests arrive. Let me see what you're working on." "Really?"
Emma's eyes went wide. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much. I promise I won't waste your time. Emma, Maya interrupted gently. Stop apologizing for taking up space. You're here because you believed in yourself enough to knock on a stranger's door. That's not something to apologize for. They sat at the kitchen island, the same spot where Maya had laid out her financial statements, where she'd set boundaries with Jessica, where so many important moments had unfolded. Emma pulled out her laptop with shaking hands and showed Maya her projects. She was good, raw, unpolished, but with instincts you couldn't teach. Maya found herself leaning in, asking questions, offering suggestions. Emma absorbed everything like a sponge, taking notes in a battered notebook, her face glowing with concentration. You remind me of someone, Maya said after they had been talking for 45 minutes. Who? Me, about 10 years ago. Emma laughed nervously. I doubt that. You've made it. You have this amazing career, this incredible apartment. I'm just trying to figure out how to pay rent and still have money for ramen. I ate a lot of ramen for years. I worked 3 jobs. I taught myself everything because I couldn't afford classes. I applied for 100 positions before I got my first real opportunity. It wasn't magic. It was work. And belief. Mostly belief. Did people believe in you? Like, did you have mentors or family supporting you? Maya thought about how to answer that truthfully without crushing this young woman's hope. Not at first, she finally said. I had to believe in myself before anyone else would. But along the way, I found people who saw my potential, and I built a life where I didn't need anyone's permission to succeed. Emma nodded slowly, processing this. That's what I want, not to need permission. Then stop asking for it. Stop apologizing. Stop making yourself small so other people feel comfortable. Maya pulled out a business card and wrote something on the back. This is my personal email. Send me your resume and a list of what you want to learn. I can't take you on as a client, but I can point you towards resources, free courses, communities, maybe introduce you to some people who are hiring entry-level analysts. Why would you do that? Emma's voice was thick with emotion. You don't know me. Because someone should have done it for me. And because helping you doesn't diminish me, it expands what's possible. That's something I wish I'd understood earlier. Emma left a few minutes later, clutching the business card like it was made of gold. As Maya watched her walk down the hallway toward the elevator, she felt something shift inside her. The anger she'd been carrying, at her family, at everyone who doubted her, had transformed into something else. Something lighter. Purpose. She'd spent so long focused on proving people wrong that she'd forgotten about the next part, what you do with your success once you have it. The doorbell rang again. This time, it was her mother, arriving early as always, carrying a casserole dish that was still warm. Hi, honey, she said, kissing her cheek. I hope I'm not too early. I know you said 6, but I thought you might need help. She stopped, taking in Maya's expression. What is it? You look different. A student just showed up at my door, looking for mentorship. Oh, what did you tell her? I told her yes. Her mother set down the casserole and studied Maya's face. You know, I've been thinking a lot about when you were little. Do you remember that computer project, the Dolphin website? Maya's breath caught. Dad mentioned it.
I owe you an apology I have never given. When you showed us that website, you were so proud. And I didn't see it. I didn't see that you were showing us who you were going to become. I just saw a kid playing on a computer when she should have been doing homework. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. I don't know how many other times I missed you, Maya. How many times I looked right at you and didn't see you. But I see you now, and I'm so sorry it took this long. Maya hugged her mother, and it felt different than it ever had before. Not obligatory, not performative. Real. I needed to do it without you, Maya said quietly. I needed to know I could. But Mom, I don't need to keep doing it without you. I want you here. I want all of you here. Just as you are now, seeing me clearly. Then that's what we'll do, her mother promised. The evening unfolded in warmth and laughter. Marcus told terrible dad jokes while his kids ran circles around the apartment. Jessica showed everyone photos from her art show. She was specializing in portraits now, trying to capture people's essence beyond their surface. Her business partner, a woman named Aisha, was sharp and funny and kept Jessica grounded in ways Maya had never seen before. Keisha fit seamlessly into the chaos, teasing Maya's father about his vintage vinyl collection and helping Marcus's kids build a blanket fort in the study. Simone held court in the living room, sharing real estate horror stories that had everyone crying with laughter. At one point, Maya stepped out onto the balcony for air. The city sparkled below. The same view she'd fallen in love with a year ago, but she saw it differently now, not as proof of her worth, but simply as her view, her home, her life that she'd built with intention and courage and an unwillingness to be small. Her father joined her, carrying 2 glasses of wine. "Good party," he said, handing her one. "Yeah, it is." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city breathe. "You know what I'm most proud of?" her father finally said. "Not the apartment or the business or even the money. I'm proud that you figured out who you were without us, that you didn't let our limitations become yours. I was so angry at you, all of you, for so long. You had a right to be. But I'm not anymore, or at least not as much. Because I think I needed you to doubt me. I needed that fire. It taught me to trust myself more than anyone else. And that's a gift, even if it didn't feel like one at the time." Her father nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe, but you shouldn't have had to learn that lesson from your own family. We should have been your foundation, not your obstacle. You're my foundation now. The difference is, I built my own foundation first, so now you're extra. You're the bonus, not the base, and that makes it better, somehow. Healthier." From inside, they could hear Jessica laughing at something Aisha said, and Marcus's kids squealing as Keisha chased them. Her mother was talking to Simone about interior design, their voices animated and warm. "I did it," Maya said quietly. "I did exactly what I set out to do. I bought a home, I built a career, I proved everyone wrong. And you know what the funny thing is? What? It doesn't matter as much as I thought it would, the proving them wrong part. What matters is that I proved myself right. I bet on me, and I won." Her father raised his glass. "To betting on yourself." Maya clinked her glass against his. "And to knowing your worth even when no one else does." They drank, and behind them, through the floor-to-ceiling windows, her found family, the old and the new, the blood and the chosen, continued their celebration in the home Maya had built with her own hands, her own mind, her own unshakable belief in herself. Later that night, after everyone had left and Keisha had fallen asleep in the bedroom, Maya sat at her desk in the study. She opened her laptop and started typing an email to Emma. Not just resources and recommendations, but something more. An offer. "I'd like to propose something. I'm expanding my business and need an assistant who can learn fast and isn't afraid of hard work. The pay won't be amazing at first. This is a startup situation, not a corporate salary. But you'll learn everything I know about data analytics, database architecture, and building a consulting business. You'll get real-world experience and portfolio pieces. And when you're ready to go out on your own, I'll be your first reference. The catch is you have to promise me something. When you make it, and you will make it, you pay it forward. You find some kid who reminds you of yourself, and you give them the chance someone gave you. Think about it. Let me know by Friday." She hit send and closed her laptop. The apartment was quiet now, just the gentle hum of the city 24 floors below. Maya walked through her home, trailing her fingers along surfaces that had once seemed impossible. The marble countertops, the hardwood floors, the windows that framed her view of the world. She stopped in front of the bookshelf and picked up that old photograph of herself at 10, the one her father had given her. That little girl with her tongue sticking out, concentrating so hard on building something that mattered only to her. "Thank you," Maya whispered to her younger self. "Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for believing when no one else did. Thank you for being stubborn and determined and unwilling to be small." She placed the photo back on the shelf, but next to it now was something new.
The business card she'd given Emma today, the one she'd written her personal email on. A small gesture, but it represented something bigger. A choice to be the person she'd needed. A choice to transform her pain into someone else's possibility. Maya Santos had learned the hardest truth, that true power isn't in proving people wrong. It's in knowing yourself so completely, so unshakably, that their doubt becomes background noise. It's in building a life so authentic that their expectations become irrelevant. It's in succeeding not despite being underestimated, but because being underestimated taught you to trust yourself above all else. The keys Simone had handed her that day had been important. They'd been a symbol, a turning point, a moment of vindication. But they were just metal and possibility. The real key had always been inside her, the key to her own belief, her own worth, her own unshakable knowledge that she was exactly who she needed to be.
And now, standing in her penthouse apartment with the life she'd built surrounding her like evidence, Maya finally understood the last lesson. Success isn't a destination where you arrive and rest. It's a cycle. You struggle, you succeed. You reach back and pull someone else up. You transform your wounds into wisdom and your victories into vehicles for others. The doubt her family had shown her had cut deep, but from that wound had grown something unexpected. The absolute certainty that she didn't need anyone's permission to be extraordinary. And that certainty had become her superpower, her foundation, her truth. She'd bought a home, but more than that, she'd become home to herself. And that was the real triumph. Not the apartment or the money, or even the sweet, silent shock on her family's faces when they'd seen what she'd built. The triumph was in knowing, beyond any shadow of doubt, that she was enough, that she always had been, that their inability to see her clearly had been their failure, not hers. And now, with that knowledge solid as bedrock beneath her feet, Maya could do the work that mattered, building a life of purpose, not just proof, creating opportunities, not just defending her worth, being the mentor, the believer, the foundation for others that she'd had to become for herself. The city lights glittered below, each one a story, a struggle, a secret victory. Somewhere out there, Emma was probably still clutching that business card, reading and rereading the email, hardly daring to hope. Somewhere out there, another person was doubted, underestimated, invisible to the people who should see them most clearly. But they would find their way. They would build their foundations. They would bet on themselves and win. Because that's what happens when you're pushed into the margins. You either disappear or you learn to see in the dark. You either shrink to fit their expectations or you expand beyond their imagination. Maya had chosen expansion. She'd chosen belief. She'd chosen herself. And in doing so, she'd found something more valuable than a penthouse apartment or a six-figure income or the validation of people who doubted her. She'd found freedom, the freedom to be exactly who she was, to live by her own standards, to define success on her own terms. The keys had been a symbol, but the real unlocking had happened inside her the day she decided she was worth believing in, even if she was the only one who thought so. That was the moral her family had missed, the lesson they'd learned too late. The person you underestimate might just become the person who teaches you that power doesn't come from being believed in. It comes from believing in yourself so fiercely that doubt becomes irrelevant. Maya turned off the lights and walked to her bedroom, where Keisha slept peacefully in their bed, where morning would break through those floor-to-ceiling windows she'd earned, where her life, her real, authentic, hard-won life, waited for her to live it. She'd spent years in silence, building in secret, becoming someone no one expected. And then she stepped into the light and shown them what she'd made of herself. But the most powerful moment hadn't been their shock. It had been her own unshakable calm in the face of their doubt transformed into disbelief. It had been standing in her truth, solid and certain, while they scrambled to rewrite their narratives about who she was. Because in the end, that's what victory looks like. Not proving people wrong, but being so right about yourself that their opinions stop mattering. Maya climbed into bed beside the woman she loved, in the home she'd earned, in the life she'd built,
and she slept the deep, dreamless sleep of someone who has nothing left to prove. Not to her family, not to the world, not even to herself. She was enough. She always had been. And now, finally, she knew it.